Hello and welcome to this episode, bonus episode actually, for the Judgement Let's Play. We are going through Pinball Parlor and not Primal Prey, as NVIDIA likes to somehow auto title it. I'm not really sure as to why, but I'm just going to assume that the quality of Primal Prey, or at least what I assume is the quality of Primal Prey from what I've seen online, is about the same quality as we're going to see today in Pinball Parlor. Once again, this is the Steam version of the game, and not the port, I guess we can call it, of the version seen in Judgement. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. One, I didn't read the instructions because I'm too smart for this game. And two, the instructions can't be seen other than on the launch screen, because a game this shit will only let you know once, and then you have to exit out of the game before you can check it again. A couple things I want to point out. We can see the screen going fuzzy. That is not your screen. That is literally the game. You can choose several options for quality. Nothing tells you why you can do this or how this is affected. This is just me pressing blind buttons at the moment. Now, first things first, there is a plunger on the right. The plunger is activated by pressing down on your arrow keys, and you can go upwards by hitting the up arrow. What the game does not tell you is that you have to hit right Alt to actually fire this off. It does tell you in the title screen, but again, you can't go back to that, so didn't know that. Took me a lot of button pressing before I could figure that out. You can break the that plunger by pushing the ball upwards, and then the plunger doesn't retract, and you can't press the button to fire it off, so you're in a fail state. A couple other things to point out. Again, when the screen went fuzzy, there's actually two ways to do that. The first is by pressing Q, which I can only imagine stands for quality. If you press it multiple times, you will cycle between a low quality version of the game and a quality version. Similarly, you can hit some of the numbered buttons and they will change the quality. I don't remember which buttons do what. I can only imagine it's something between 1 and 5, but something in my brain tells me that it went 1 to 6, which is counterintuitive and makes absolutely no sense. Again, this is a classic version of pinball, or at least a classic table of pinball. Classic tables will generally have larger ball counts, but a more challenging or punishing, more specifically, playstyle. And what I mean by punishing is that the game has no ball save, generally speaking in modern tables anyways, and modern being somewhere around the late 80s, I believe. Ball saves are more common, if not common on all tables built after that time, meaning that up to a certain point, if you lost your ball for whatever reason, your ball would come back and you'd basically get a freebie. In older pinball machines, the exception was that if you plunged a ball and made 0 points, absolutely 0 points, you would you get basically an extra ball, or you play your ball again, a ball save. This is very hard to accomplish in certain tables. As we can see in this one, there's a lot of doodads everywhere, a lot of bumpers, etc. So it's hard to actually achieve. Once you've played your 5 balls, your game is over and you gotta restart. It's not very fun. 5 ball count's a weird ball count for me, just because I've played so much so recently of 3 ball. 5 ball always throws me off. There's a couple things that this game actually fails to do, and we'll see it soon enough. Thankfully, I was able to drop this video in 13 minutes. This is my one and only playthrough, by the way. There is no practice that has been done. I will never practice for this game because it's utter trash. But you know, suffice to say, if you want to give this a try, expect Chaos Argate to just give you a free copy, because I can't imagine that anybody would want to spend money on this. Another thing to note, there is a button to change the camera from this regular view to a top-down. The top-down's a little bit better. This is actually a really dick move from the pinball table, and most pinball tables will not have that sort of openness. They'll usually have like a gate or something, or give you like an automatic kickback so that you don't have that sort of problem happen. Getting back to the quality of the game, it's utter trash, but I'm sure you've noticed this by now. Another thing to note is if you press W, you turn off the lights. I don't quite know why that is. I can only imagine it's supposed to be for quote-unquote atmosphere. Annoyingly, there's a spot for a multi-ball, but getting your pinball to actually land in that hole and stay there is incredibly hard, to the point where I'm not sure if it's... Like, if you ask me the physics of it, I would question it at every possible chance I get. In the spirit of older pinball tables, scores are actually really low. Some modern tables will actually copy this sort of aesthetic, just because it's, in a way, it makes it less daunting. For example, one of the more recent pinball tables to have released is the, I believe, Stern. I forget which. I always mess up the companies that make pinball tables. I believe it's Stern. They made a Star Wars pinball game based on classic Star Wars. This is also another dick move. I don't know how you're supposed to ever get this the further kickback target. So the newest Star Wars table that's come out has a very high point count. That physics was really off. So the points can get hilariously high, well, maybe more ridiculously than hilariously, to the point where it gets pretty crazy, like billions of points. Billions of points is obviously very daunting for a new player. When you dumb it down, well, I shouldn't say dumb it down, but when you restrict the points to, say, thousands or hundreds, you basically lower that sort of ceiling in terms of how crazy it can be for a new player to get to this table, and you get good points. Another thing also is just like good design really plays an important part of pinball table scores, and just like how easy or hard it is to pick up a play. And talking about how easy or hard it is to pick up a play, we can see that I've basically broken the game at this point. I'm not sure if it's the version of this game or that the bump or nudge function isn't strong enough to hit the game's own tilt function, but basically I can punch upwards forever. We've already seen a number of times that I've saved the ball in ways that would not be physically possible in real life, because you'd either break your wrist at this point, or you would have tilted the machine 6 ways from Sunday. We also noticed that the music actually breaks after a while, which is fantastic coding, if I do say so myself. Definitely not annoying to now play with a basically mute machine. And this is why the nudge function is broken. Unfortunately, even with a nudge function, it still screws me over. The game is also very stupid, because in a normal setting, if you were to trap a ball and you launch another ball in order to knock it out and continue playing and so on, it wouldn't count that ball as a dead ball for you. So, because I managed to lock a ball, I basically screwed myself over and lost 2 balls when I only sunk 1. This is also a very rare issue that can happen even in modern tables, so I won't take off too many points from this game, although it is still absolute trash. And no, I don't feel like I need to actually know how to program video games. I've played enough pinball tables to know trash when I play it. I'm looking at you, Playboy Mansion pinball table of 1970s fame. So because you can kind of break the game with the nudges, at least in the PC version of this game, you can end up racking like very high scores. You can dance your ball, you just gotta time it right. And if I really wanted to dedicate an extra year of my life to pain and suffering, I could probably master nudging to the point where, you know, getting again at the top spelled out would be trivial to say the least. At this point, I should have probably just like not nudged ever because I trapped the ball. A common tactic in normal or modern pinball games is to trap a ball. Usually you do one, you trap a ball with a flipper and effectively increase the duration of your multi-ball. You only risk losing one ball at a time, and generally good players are able to hit their targets relatively easily, or at least with a certain amount of consistency. Hilariously, this game has an achievement, or has many achievements, I should say, but at least one of them is playing this game 100 times. Frankly, I don't know the masochists who would ever subject themselves to this game 100 times, but I mean, the option's available for any of you daring gamers out there. Conversely, you can just cheese it by starting a game, exiting to title, and then starting all over again. It counts for that number. So yes, I do have that achievement. Don't at me. There are a few other achievements as well to keep in mind. None of them are ever important. You have things like, what was it? There's one that tasks you with getting all of the objectives in the game, such as getting a jackpot, advancing to the year 2000s and future, of course, getting the again, and I think spelling out Parlor a number of times in order to get the achievement. And honestly, I just have to laugh at the devs for thinking that anybody would willingly subject themselves to that, rather than just using what I can only imagine would be cheat engine in order to obtain that. So, 850, try to beat it.